There is a lake in Fromville that nobody has found yet. And that sentence alone should terrify you. Because if Ethan is right, and let's be honest, Ethan is almost always right, that lake has the ability to heal people. Maybe even bring back what was lost. And right now, the show is dangling this mystery in front of us like a piece of bait on a hook, and we are all just fish swimming straight toward it. Today we are breaking down the Lake of Tears. What it is, where it might be, why the bird matters more than people realize, and a theory about Jade and those children's bones that genuinely made me stop whatever I was doing and stare at the wall for a moment. Stay until the end. There is something about Ellis that also needs to be said. Let's start at the beginning, because Ethan Matthews does not get enough credit. This kid has been dropping hints since season 1. His stories, the ones that everyone in the town either ignored or patted him on the head for, have turned out to be more accurate than most adult plans in the show. The Anghkooey children, the bottle tree, the numbers. Ethan's imagination was never imagination. It was memory. It was prophecy. It was the show telling us the answer while we were all too focused on Boyd's trauma arc to notice. So when Ethan says the Lake of Tears has healing powers, you do not shrug that off. You write it down. You put a star next to it. You maybe tape it to your refrigerator. The Lake of Tears first showed up in Ethan's dreams back in season 1, episode 2. It appeared alongside sketches of his family, which at the time felt like background noise. But the show has a habit of treating background noise like it is actually the main melody. Everything that seemed small in the early seasons has turned out to be a load-bearing wall. And now in season 4, Jim, before he died, specifically told Ethan to find the lake. Jim, a man who came back after death to pass on a message, burned one of his very limited ghost appearances on this single mission. Find the Lake of Tears. That is not a suggestion. That is a directive from beyond whatever passes for the afterlife in Fromville. So the lake is real, or at least the show wants us to believe it is real. And in From, those two things tend to end up being the same. Now here is where it gets interesting. In season 4, Ethan picks up an injured bird on the way to the settlement. His reasoning is clean and logical, which is more than you can say for most adult decisions in this show. He says, if the lake water heals the bird, then the stories are real. If the bird gets better, we know we found the right place. Simple test, smart kid. But here is the thing, the bird does not get healed, the bird dies. And Ethan, who has been right about basically everything, is standing there at this lake telling us, without using these exact words, that this is not the lake. This is not the place Jim sent him to find. There is a second lake, there has to be. And people in the fandom have been pointing this out, but it is not fully clicked for some viewers because the show sort of buries the confirmation under a pile of other chaos. In episode 3, when Victor took Ethan to a different lake, the one where Jade was floating in the water, Ethan specifically said that was not the right one either. The kid has a detector. He knows when they are close and when they are not. So we have at least 2 wrong lakes confirmed. The real Lake of Tears is still out there, somewhere in the geography of Fromville, waiting to be found. And think about what that means. Every time these characters find a lake and get distracted by something pulling up from the rope or something weird floating in the water, they are essentially one step closer to the real thing while the real thing is still untouched. The show is building to something. The lake discovery, the real one, is going to matter. Alright, now we get into the theory, and this one is layered. Let's recap what we know about the Anghkooey children. These kids, the ghoulish children that Tabitha and Jade have been seeing since early in the show, are not just ghosts. They are spirits of children who were sacrificed in the tunnels underneath Fromville. The creatures, the monsters that come out at night, were once human. They made a deal with something, some entity the show has not fully named yet, in exchange for eternal life. And the cost of that deal was the blood of their own children. They killed those kids on stone slabs in the tunnels. Jade had a vision of it happening. Tabitha and Jade's original incarnations were the 2 parents who refused to go along with the sacrifice. One of those children was their daughter. They tried to stop it. They failed. And as punishment, or maybe as a kind of cosmic obligation, they have been reincarnated over and over again, brought back into Fromville cycle after cycle, until they finally figure out how to save those children. That is the entire loop. That is why they keep coming back. Save the kids, break the loop. Now here's where the theory comes in. If the Lake of Tears has healing powers, and if those children are spiritually trapped in Fromville because of what happened to them, then what if the bones are the key? Think about it, the children are dead. Their physical remains are in those tunnels somewhere. Their spirits have been appearing, repeating the word Anghkooey, which we now know means remember, trying to push Jade and Tabitha toward the truth. But the children cannot be fully freed just by Jade and Tabitha remembering. Something physical has to happen. Some act has to occur. What if Jade has to find those bones, bring them to the Lake of Tears, and use the water to release the children's souls? Not heal the living, but heal what was done. Undo the wound that started the entire cycle. This is not just fan fiction. The show has been setting up several things that all point in this direction. 1. Jade now knows after his mushroom vision in episode 5 that he needs to act with discretion. Go solo, not tell people. He is confident he knows what to do even if we are not fully shown the plan. 2. The mushroom visions hinted at something in the tunnels, a grave with 7 rocks around it. That is specific. That is not random imagery. 7 rocks around a grave in the tunnels is either the bones or the key to finding them. 3. The children's hope, the emotion they felt when they were killed, poured into the roots of the bottle tree and became part of Fromville's structure. Their death created the town's mythology. Their salvation should theoretically be capable of dismantling it. And 4. The Lake of Tears, the name itself. Tears are not just water. Tears are grief. Tears are what you cry when something irreversible happened. What is more irreversible than the murder of children by their own community? The lake is named for what it can heal. The theory is this: Jade finds the bones in the tunnels. He brings them to the real Lake of Tears. The water does what Ethan said it would do, and the children are freed, and the loop ends. It is not confirmed, but the pieces are all on the board. Now nothing in From is ever that clean, so let's poke at this theory a little. First problem, Jade has to do this alone. His episode 5 hallucination made it clear that previous versions of him failed because the plan got out. If too many people know, something intervenes. The town has a way of stopping people from getting close to the truth. Every time a character starts to figure something out, something bad happens. The show has acknowledged this directly in recent episodes. So if Jade decides to announce his plan at the next town meeting, expect bad things. He has to move quietly, which means the audience is going to be watching him do things that look strange without full context. That is classic From storytelling, and it is going to be frustrating and fascinating at the same time. Second problem, the Lake of Tears has not been confirmed to have the specific power of freeing souls. It might heal physical injuries. It might do something else entirely. The show has been careful not to define it. Ethan said it heals people who are hurt. Healing a spiritual wound might be different from healing a cut on your arm. Third problem, even if Jade succeeds, what happens to everyone else in Fromville? The children being freed might break the loop for Jade and Tabitha specifically, but the town has other residents who have their own unresolved connections to this place. Boyd's story, the Matthews family, Victor's decades of survival. Do those threads just resolve automatically, or does saving the children only solve part of the equation? And then there is the man in yellow, who at this point is operating as a major threat that the show has deliberately kept mysterious. He killed Jim. He has been showing up in places that suggest he is watching the investigation. Whatever Jade is planning, the man in yellow is probably aware, and that is not a comfortable thought. Let's step back for a second and talk about what the Lake of Tears represents in the architecture of the show, not just in the plot, but in its meaning. From has always been about cycles, characters repeating mistakes, the town resetting, residents arriving, surviving, or dying, and the town continuing regardless. The whole premise is a loop, and the horror of Fromville is not just the monsters at night. It is the feeling that nothing you do matters, that you will never escape, that the walls are permanent. The Lake of Tears, if it exists and if it works the way Ethan says, is the anti-cycle. It is the one thing in Fromville that does not maintain the status quo. It heals, it reverses, it gives something back. Every other element in the town takes. The monsters take lives, the entity takes freedom, the loop takes progress. Even the good things in the town, the talismans, the faraway trees, the boy in white, they guide people, but they do not give people anything back. The lake gives something back. That is why Jim sent Ethan there. That is why the show has been building to it across 4 seasons. And that is why the bird dying at the wrong lake is not a failure. It is a confirmation. The real thing exists, and when they find it, it will actually work. The question is not whether the lake can save people. The question is what price comes with using it, and whether Jade will be willing to pay. We should talk about Ellis. Ellis is a character who has been on a slow decline in terms of audience goodwill, and the most recent episodes have not helped. There is a particular brand of frustration that comes with watching a character make choices that feel reactive rather than thoughtful, especially in a show where every decision carries weight. Ellis is not a bad character. He's a character who keeps getting in the way at exactly the wrong moment. When the group was near the lake, when something was about to happen, Ellis and the other residents pulled on that rope and dragged something up from the water, which derailed the entire investigation. Whether that was the show's writing or Ellis specifically as a character is debatable, but the feeling it creates is the same. There's also a broader pattern in From where certain characters exist to create friction at moments of breakthrough. Boyd did this for seasons. He was skeptical, resistant, and stubborn right up until the moment he was not. Ellis feels like he is in that role right now. The person who complicates things, slows things down, and occasionally does something that makes you shout at your screen. The hope is that Ellis gets a moment, a real one, a moment where his presence in the story pays off in a way that makes the frustration retrospectively worth it, from tens to reward patience. Characters who seemed irrelevant or obstructive often end up being pivotal. Ellis might be pivotal, he just needs to stop being in the way first. So here's where we are. The Lake of Tears is real. The one they found is not it. The bird test failed at the wrong location, and Ethan, who has been the most reliable narrator in this entire show, knows it. Jade is moving towards something. His mushroom hallucination pointed him at the tunnels, at bones, at a grave with 7 rocks, and at a rescue mission that could finally break the cycle that has been running since before any of these characters were born. If he can find those bones and bring them to the real lake, the Anghkooey children might finally be freed. And if the children are freed, Fromville might start to fall apart at the seams in the best possible way. And Ellis is still there, doing Ellis things. If this video helped you connect some dots, or if you have a theory that pokes holes in any of this, drop it in the comments. From is the kind of show where the comment section is genuinely part of the experience. People have caught things in the background of shots that changed entire interpretations of episodes. Your eyes matter here. See you in the next one.